How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, more news from the world of Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling has made the headlines once again with an apparent victory against a trans activist who labelled her a Nazi in a tweet back in December of 2022. So we will get into that a little later on. Let's go to the backstory. Let's find out what's happening. Let's go. So, after 3 years, it's been roughly around 3 years, guys, since JK made those comments about the trans community on her beliefs about biological sex. She caused a stir. She lost a massive amount of her fan base, and then the other side of the fan base were all in support of her, and then everybody went head to head, and then Harry Potter as basically an entity just suffered so much. Yeah, it wasn't a good time. It's still not really the best times for Harry Potter. You know, it's making a comeback, kind of making a comeback. I mean, people are learning to separate the artist from the art. And yeah, some aren't. You know what? I don't know where the Harry Potter community is right now, guys. All I know is I'm making Harry Potter content. I love Harry Potter. I love the story. I love the books. I love the characters. And I'm not going to stop. So I'm not going anywhere. And I know I've lost hundreds and hundreds of followers over this because I refused to cease making Harry Potter content. But you know what? If you don't like it, hit the subscribe button. And if you do like my content, then stay subscribed. It's quite simple enough. Anyway, let's talk. So, JK was one to always reply with a sarcastic tweet or a humorous tweet in response to the hundreds and hundreds of abusive messages that she's been getting over the years. Well, she's decided to finally take a stand, and she's not lying down anymore. And the person in question, who was on the back end of this lawsuit, was a Twitter user and basically an actor known as JJ Wells. So JJ Wells initially tweeted her that she should be burned alive. She let it go. He tweeted again saying that she was a Nazi or aligned herself with Nazi views, and JK did not take kindly to that. Let's have a look. I've got the tweet here and it reads, well, to be fair, the woman in question wasn't actually being threatened with being burned alive. Hyperbolic metaphor based on her original tweet, but you know that you're playing dumb intentionally for clout, and she also is, capital lettering for is, a Nazi, or at least has views that align with them. So pretty strong use of word here, guys. Pretty strong use of words, actually, sorry. So burned alive was the first one, and now Nazi is the follow-up tweet that has just, you know, sent JK over the edge, basically. It's an absolute crazy use of words. The person has gone and used a term that is no better, if not worse, than JK's original comment. So it's like you're fighting hate with hate, and you know what that does? It just makes more hate, guys. It's not a good situation. So while Twitter is apparently a free form of speech, there are several laws that do prohibit one from using slurs, and one of them is, of course, the term Nazi. A couple of years back, British radio presenter John Gaunt lost his job for labelling one of his guests a Nazi, and then Brazilian podcaster Bruno Ayub was fired for making comments calling someone else a Nazi, which he claimed he only said because he was drunk, which means he didn't mean it when he was sober. Yeah, that's a good excuse, Bruno. But anyway, Bruno's gone, John is gone, so it means that, you know, online is just as dangerous as it would be to say it, not dangerous, but, you know, offensive as it would be to say it in person. It means like the laws are the same for saying it in person and they would be online, and JK was aware of this, and as I said a couple of moments ago, she's taken a stance against JJ Wells. Anyway, let's continue. In response to JJ Wells' tweet labelling JK a Nazi, JK quote retweeted it with the following: "The thing about solicitors is that everyone can play. JJ, I ignored your hyperbolic metaphor about me burning to death in 2020, but I'm starting to think that was a mistake. What's your solicitor's view on this Nazi accusation? Would they advise you to defend it in court?" So this was followed by tweets from one or two people basically saying that JK had no credibility whatsoever to actually take someone to court or take legal action. Well, actually, let's just read what it says. I actually have the tweet here. It reads, "There's nothing actionable here. This is just you harassing and placing a target on yet another trans person." So look, guys, I can imagine, you know, some of you are sitting there saying, "Oh, Dean is leaping to JK Rowling's defense. He's part of the problem if he's not defending us." I'm not, guys. I'm just calling it how I see it. My subscriber count will let me know anyway, as I mentioned I always lose hundreds of subscribers on a daily basis because I just want to keep making Harry Potter content, or maybe people just don't like my Harry Potter content anymore. I don't know. All I do know is for every 1,000 subscribers I gain, I lose about 900 of them. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to stop making Harry Potter content. It's nothing new to me. So anyway, let's keep going. JK followed up with another initial tweet which reads, "Okie dokie JJ, will play it your way. Give my regards to your solicitor." So for my American friends across the pond, a solicitor is the American version of a lawyer. So nothing is really thought more of what JK said. Maybe it was just heated words, but it wasn't. Oh man, it was not. It was quiet for about 2 months, and then Wells pops up with a retraction statement which reads as follows. "I would like to publicly apologise for a previous Twitter thread where I interacted with JK Rowling on matters regarding to the transgender community." Okay? "I have now removed these tweets and would like to apologise to JK Rowling directly for causing potential upset." He then followed it with a later tweet that reads, "I failed to choose my words with care and would like to retract my previous statements relating to our views on the LGBTQ+ community and more specifically transgender people." He followed them with a third and final tweet which reads, "I would also like to retract my likening to JK Rowling to any right or Nazi organisation and emphasise I do not wish any individual, inclusive of JK Rowling, to come to any harm." Now guys, nothing was discussed publicly between both legal teams, so we don't really know what was said, but my assumption, my guess would be that JJ Wells was either threatened with legal action or severe consequences in relation to his statements, as JJ is from the UK, so it's not really an across the Atlantic dispute. My guess it was either jail time or a hefty fine. Whatever it was, it scared the shit out of him if you ask me, and he had no choice but to retract his statements. Now, look, from JJ's perspective, what he said, I believe he meant. He clearly is deeply hurt at the original comments and truly believes she's wrong in what she said. He really looked up to JK as a hero. He tweeted her that as well, that she was once his hero and now she's just like the complete opposite of that. So yeah, we know he was pretty hurt. He became quite vocal about it, and he's entitled to do so. At the end of the day, it's this guy's beliefs, it's what he stands for, but choosing such a taboo word seems to have cost him dearly at this point, and he's had to publicly retract everything he's attached her to, not just a Nazi comment, which to me seems like a very bitter pill to swallow. I mean, it's one thing to issue an apology for an offence, but to be forced to make an apology, okay, to be forced to make an apology that includes such specific terms, particular transgender community, like he's been forced to apologise for basically attacking JK for what she said about the transgender community. I don't think there's any trans activists or anyone in general that would make such a retraction unless serious consequences were involved if they didn't. Like, it wasn't just a retraction. To me, it seemed like a bit of a humiliation, so then there's the question, did he bring it on himself using such a term to describe JK Rowling? I mean, he could have tweeted her saying, you're a bitch, or you're a TERF, or you're, but using the term Nazi, it's, as I said, it's a taboo slur. Well, if you ask me, it's a taboo slur, and I know there's a lot of people that may agree with that. Then again, JJ's argument would be, well, you started this show with your comments about trans people and biological sex. So let's just look at the technical terms of this libel suit and explain how JK Rowling could actually take a case against the tweet from Wells. There are two issues at play here, a type of lawsuit called a SLAP, SLAPP, and the United Kingdom's libel laws, since Wells also resigns in the UK, as I mentioned. Now, JK Rowling is a billionaire with vast reservoirs of wealth to spend on basically silencing critics. In short, a SLAP is a lawsuit that's designed to combat its victim with legal fees, whether or not they're actually in the wrong. SLAPs are levelled at critics, activists, and other targets who basically don't have the resources to be able to afford to defend themselves in a court of law. SLAPs are often frivolous, with little chance of winning in court, but the point is to silence people who don't have the means to take it to court in the first place. So that's the whole point of the thing. However, in the United States, it's a little bit different. Many states have passed anti-SLAP laws, in part to protect people exercising their rights to free speech. which obviously falls under the First Amendment. Now, the United Kingdom's strict liberal laws make it much easier for powerful people to silence critics, and there's no denying that J.K. Rowling is a very powerful woman. In the US, the burden of proof in liberal cases rests with the person claiming to have been injured. In this case, that would be J.K. Rowling. In the UK, on the other hand, the burden of proof rests with the critic, in this case J.J. Wells. So public figures looking to stifle criticism often sue writers and other critics in British courts, where the law usually favours them. Now, despite the public apology, it didn't take long for supporters of Wells to find out what had actually happened. It became pretty obvious that he didn't make these apologies, out of the blue. Like, they didn't come from the heart. They were something that he was forced legally to say, or he would suffer severe consequences. So, realising that the author basically can't sue everyone, they started tweeting the hashtag J.K. Rowling has views that align with Nazis to spread the word about how dangerous they believe her bigotry is. So what you can see, guys, both sides. We can see it from JJ's point of view, we can see it from JK's point of view. I'm not trying to favour one side over the other, I am just reporting the news I found. As I said, I know some of you will be like, oh, he's jumping on JK, oh, wait a minute, he's against trans, oh, wait a minute, he's for trans, he's abandoning JK and Harry Potter. No, I'm just reporting the news that I found. Anything to do with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, I'll put it on this channel. I do like, kind of the news aspect of the channel. Anyway, guys, that is today's video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. How do you feel about this? Do you think J.K., had a right to actually take it to court and silence this person? Do you think, it was a bit much that J.J. Wells was forced to make a public apology? Maybe, or should he have had a hefty fine, or should he have been imprisoned, or should he have not been punished whatsoever? Let me know your comments. Let me know your comments down below. I was going to say let me know what you think in the comments down below. Guys, I'm not used to being on camera. This happens a lot. I'll see you all in the next video.